Welcome back to Comic Shop Talk, everybody, on the Late Night Collectors community. I'm your host, Nico, and joined with me today, as always, is my co-host, Chris. How you doing, man?
Hey, what's up?
Welcome. If this is your first time checking out the show, hit that like button if you like what you saw here today. Hit that thumbs up. Make sure to hit that notification bell if you want to be notified of when these videos do go out every week. We do these episodes weekly. Today, we'll be discussing the comics that came out on April 6, 2022. And, we review comics, we talk about them, we give them ratings, give you our thoughts on them, talk about some other stuff that might be happening in the industry or interests of ours that involve comic books, all kinds of different types of comic talk here. You can find the Comic Shop Talk. So, we have a playlist of all our past episodes you guys can check out here. And if you're into comics and you check out these videos, tell a friend, make sure they subscribe to the channel. So that's your reminder there. Make sure you're subscribed. So not only hit that notification bell, these episodes drop every Friday and or Saturday, depending on like when we finish our books. Some weeks are really huge. Some weeks are manageable, like this week. So depending on how long it takes us to read those week's books, that's usually when the episode drops. So so usually about Friday or Saturday, we usually drop those. So you can check that out weekly. All kinds of different other comic content here on the channel as well. And, other things that interest that we have, collectible cards, and, hopefully more to come down the road here on the Late Night Collectors community. And shout out to Julie from the Late Night Chat Network that actually made our new banner, Comic Shop Talk, as you see in the corner over here. And spoiler warning quickly for you guys. Spoiler warning on some of the books that we're going to be talking about here today. Sometimes, unfortunately, to get into like the specifics of the book or to give you our thoughts and reviews on them, we do have to spoil some of the things that happen. We try our best to navigate through some of the bigger spoilers, and so you guys get a chance to go read them. You can also check out the show notes that I put here for you guys if you're ever unsure of what books we're going to be talking about when during the show. If there's certain things you want to avoid, read your books, then come back. You can always do that as well, or just go ahead. Just roll the dice, see what happens. Right? It's always interesting in that sense. So, all right, Chris. Without further ado, though.
All right, let's talk comics.
There you go. So let's put this up on the screen. All right. All right. So first one up, we got Devil's Reign number 6, the conclusion of the main event of Devil's Reign, the Daredevil event, which also had some tie-in stuff, some things that spun out of it that we had read a few of. And I believe there's also going to be like an Omega issue that's like a prologue of sorts that's going to wrap up prior to launching the new Daredevil series with Chip Zdarsky is still the main writer. So, Chris, what did you think of this?
I thought it was a so-so ending to a good series, but there's great art in this issue. I don't know if that was all the way through, but even just looking at those pages there, like everything's just jumping.
Yeah.
And it was a good Daredevil Kingpin fight in this one too. But there's no kind of standout moments in this. I don't know how you feel about things.
Oh man, I thought it was a great finale. Honestly, I think overall, though, I guess I should say that this is a very well worth checking out. When it's all collected in a paperback or whatever, oversized hardcover, you guys could check this out. I think it does a really good job of setting up and making some changes in the status quo moving into the continuation of the series. But, also in that same sense, like Chris was saying, I don't think they changed anything too much to where they can't continue in the direction of this story that's being told, right? Like this isn't something where like a bunch of crazy things occurred and then they just ended the series and then everybody has to deal with the fallout, which sometimes these events like do, right? But this, I think there are some big changes in Daredevil's world, I think, moving forward that Chip Zdarsky, I think, is gonna, play around with like some aspects of this. There's a big change for the Kingpin. I actually really enjoyed the end of the Kingpin story at the end of this event. I thought it was unexpected because it felt like it was going to go a very predictable route. And then he kind of did something I didn't actually expect him to do. So I don't want to spoil that bit of it.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to kind of line about what happened at the end too. And I didn't want to put it out there for a spoiler, but I found the ending a bit hard to believe.
Interesting.
Like, just I didn't think you'd go that way.
But that's what I found interesting about it, though. That's what I actually found surprising about it. I hear what you're saying, like how So like we won't talk about it. Maybe this is a book that we can actually check in on
Yeah,
next.
maybe when the Omega comes out, we can talk about what the
Yeah,
ending of this book, or
yeah.
the series at least.
But overall, like I said, as an event within the Daredevil books, I thought it was very successful when it's all said and done. And the artwork is by Marco Cicchetto, the artist who was in this issue throughout the whole miniseries. So it's great art throughout. But he really brought it this issue, like
Yeah,
I mentioned.
this was like top notch.
Yeah. So, yeah, the one thing I will say though, it looks like I guess Luke Cage is now the mayor of New York. I'll say that, right? Like I'll reveal that Luke Cage is now, like as we suspected. It seems like he is going to possibly be the mayor, right? But so I don't know how I feel about that. To be honest with you, I don't really see him as a mayor type. So I don't know. I don't know how.
Yeah, I think that's just gonna fall to the wayside kind of once this all winds down, unless they kind of keep that story going in the new Daredevil.
May not
Or
be.
if he gets his own story with it as mayor, I don't know.
He may not be actually. He may not be actually, because you know what I mean? Like there is some other moving pieces still in play that maybe he
Yeah.
doesn't end up being mayor. We don't know for sure, but it looks
Yeah,
like
basically he's running. Well, yeah.
they're priming him to be that. But there's a lot of other things. Like I said, I don't want to spoil right now, but I did want to mention that because that is something that we touched on throughout talking about this series, how we weren't a huge fan of that storyline. But yeah. I enjoyed it. I thought there were some good, solid story beats, and overall, I think it was a successful event. And I'm not dropping Daredevil anytime soon, right? So,
Oh no, well, there's some big things leading up into the Daredevil that they talk about at the end of this issue too,
yeah,
which seems to be pretty interesting.
yeah. So, what'd you give this one then?
Ah, I'll give it a 4. I was going to give it a 3.5 because I really wasn't brought to, like a wow for the end of, like, a lot of these ending of series kind of fall flat for me, but I'll give it a 4 because it is good.
I mean, I also gave it a 4. Overall, I think I'd give the event like a 4. I thought it was a solid event. I
Oh
think,
yeah, definitely. I thought it was a solid event. A lot of stuff that I didn't expect, with Doctor Octopus and kind of all some of the outside characters that came to light. There's a couple wasted whatever offshoots there, like that Winter Soldier offshoot. That was kind of a waste of time.
mhm.
Even the Spider-Man whatever tie-in didn't really do much. But I did like the X-Men tie-in, and that Villains for Hire. Still like that cover, but anyways.
Yeah, where U.S. agents getting punched in the face. All right, so that's Devil's Reign. All right, next up we got Batman 122, which is the continuation of the Shadow War, the event again within going throughout, I think 4 books: Robin, Deathstroke, Batman, and anything else, or is it just those
I think
3?
it might be just the 3.
Okay, yeah. So and then I know they had they're gonna have they had like a starting issue where it was like the Omega,
Yeah, like Shadow War, Shadow Zone, or something Alpha or something.
the end and start caps, yeah. So
Yeah.
what did you think about this one, Chris? This is actually my first foray into this event though, because I didn't read the issue from last week that you checked out. So this is
Yeah.
time trying it out. So because it came into a book that I was already reading, right? So
Yeah, I thought this was a good issue. I like the Ninjas versus Deathstroke. Thought that was decent. I was happy to see Batman do some Batman shit there when he was fighting the ninjas. And there's an unexpected moment there with Talia and Bruce. And then boom, the issue's over. These half issues, they're killing me. Thought the story went by too quick, but what do you think?
I thought this was a lot of fun. I thought this was a great introduction for me. Like, I might actually go back and read the issue before this and read the rest maybe digitally, because I actually really liked the idea of this event so far, and I like a lot of the players involved. And Howard Porter is on art in this issue, and I believe this is the artist that does the Deathstroke Inc. book you usually read, right? Is this the artist that does that book normally?
I'd have to look into it, but I thought the art
art.
was great in here. Yeah.
Great art. Like, I don't see Howard Porter, the artist, like, look at that, all
Yeah.
too often these days. Maybe he was I think he may have been working on the Deathstroke book at some point. He's working on one of these books I don't read. This was excellent art, man. So like for me, I read this issue and I thought it was successful in the sense that it's actually got me wanting to read an event between these books. So I actually might continue on with you on this journey with this one. So yeah, I mean, ninjas. I mean, you can't go wrong with ninjas.
Yeah.
A shitload of ninjas. So he says it. There's like, oh, it's a lot of ninjas or something in this issue. Deathstroke. I love him. I hear what you're saying about the length of the issue, because this is one of those $4.99 retail books, and they do have a backup story in Batman always. But I actually like the backup in this issue because it kind of had all the same players in it of a past story with these people.
Yeah.
It had to do when Robin was actually Robin. Sorry, I think it was Dick Grayson Robin and Deathstroke and Batman.
Well, yeah, it almost looks like it's the first time Batman meets Deathstroke.
Yeah, and then there's like a Joker element to it. So I really liked actually the backup.
Yeah.
So
But I don't get fooled because you're thinking you got so much paper left in your hands, and then the story's over. It's like you think you got so much more to go, and I forget about the backstory all the time in this issue.
I hear you. Like, look at it's very cool. I really dug the art, and it's just very like angular and kind of like bulky looking art.
Well, yeah, it suits this kind of the story that's going on here.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Howard Porter. So yeah, so I'm in. I think I'm gonna continue to read it. I didn't pre-order anything outside of Batman, but I'll read it online probably with you because I liked this issue. Yeah. So without getting into, I guess, the specifics of what's happening in the story, I don't know. You would probably be better to explain it if you wanted to mention anything about the lead.
Well, I think of that, like I said, that Shadow War Alpha, Ra's al Ghul gets killed.
Yes.
Why they're thinking it's Deathstroke.
Right.
And I guess in the issue he's saying he didn't do it. So
and he is teaming up with his son.
Respawn or something, I think his name is.
Right, Respawn. So like you got all the element. His daughter is still out and about. Robin, I think, is the one that encounters her and then brings her into the folders at Batman.
Yeah, like everybody's looking to kill Deathstroke.
So yeah, so
and he's just trying to get by on his wits, I guess.
Yeah, but it's a good Deathstroke story so far. I mean, like I might even have to check out Deathstroke Inc. if it's like with this art in it, or it's got like this type of interpretation of Deathstroke, because I really dug him in this a lot. So yeah, I'm in, man. So what'd you give it?
Yeah, I'll give this a 4, like an easy 4. Like last one I fight for the 4. This one is a 4, no problem.
Same. Yeah, same. So yeah, guys, if you kind of missed out on the start of Shadow War with that last alpha issue or whatever it was last week, the setup of this, I think you can jump in with this one. I think.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think they did a pretty good job of explaining this so far. So if you're even reading Batman, this was successful. Like I sometimes don't like when they go into all the titles, but like I mentioned, Joshua Williamson is the writer of all these series that he's doing the crossover within. So he's orchestrated this pretty well. Like I think he's done a good job of putting this together so far, man. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. So there you go. All right, Black Widow, Chris.
Oh, there we go.
Let's take
a cover here, Black Widow. Oop.
Oh yeah, very nice.
Issue 15. Let's see here. The end of the last issue, 14. I don't know if I talked about it. I remember it was a big ending.
You didn't
Black Widow.
You didn't mention on the show. No,
Black Widow gets her arm chopped off, like from up here.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy smokes, that had me blown away when she had her arm sliced off. And it had me very excited for this issue. But of course, it's comics, nothing ever lasts. Like, I thought that arm was gone. Like, there's no way you could do anything.
So how did they get that arm back on? It's already solved? It already figured
out? Yeah, it's solved. She's got her arm back, of course. And, by the end of it, it's back and it's fine. And it seemed to be stronger than before because it had time to rest, I guess, while it was cut off. That wasn't... Outside of that, I think it was a decent issue here. And this ends up being the last issue. They're going to take a break on this. Or it's the last...
I thought it was, is it this one or next issue? Does it say this is the last issue? Because
I think at the end of this one, there was it wasn't listed as a series finale or anything, but at the end they said we're going to take a break and, who knows when we'll be back or something like that.
I think, okay, interesting. Okay, because so I thought I heard 16 was the last issue because I recently just heard this. So I don't know if this is something sudden that they just decided. But yeah, I guess this is the last issue then, like you said. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like this at 15, it's a Legacy 55 or something. So
weird because I thought this was a very successful series for them so far. Like I thought that this has been like I don't know sales, but I think it was nominated for an Eisner last year for best new series, if I'm not mistaken, or best artist or something. It was nominated for something, I think, last year. I don't think
maybe they just got the the talent tap to do something else and just take a break from it. Kind of not kind of send somebody in there just to put in some filler stories, which I don't mind.
Right. That's fair. Yeah.
Because just the whole series. I thought there's always great action. There's a great art style here, and there's a varied collection of other characters that had me turning the pages. And I am sad that it's over, but I hope it returns and they come back with another good story.
Nice.
And yeah, I'll give this one a 4 once again.
Nice. All right.
Next. What do we have here? Batman Beyond. What do we? So it's a number 1.
Nice cover.
It's pretty decent.
Yeah.
And it's my first look into this world. Nothing really pulling me into this Neo or whatever neon Gotham that they're into. I like the idea of what they're doing in here, where I think there's one scene where Batman's trying to do the right thing. I think he stops like a drug delivery, but then there's a new villain or hero, I guess, in Gotham, and he tells him, "Hey, this drug's got to get out on the streets because if they don't, like all these drug addicts are gonna die." And then I don't know. But other than that, I don't know if I'll be following along with this. I might, maybe read the next couple issues online. But I don't know. It just doesn't have the same kind of connection to Gotham.
Right. This is, I guess, taking place, though, in the future, like his timeline, or is it like...
Yeah, I think... What the hell happened here? There's... Like, the Wayne Enterprises has been bought out by Wayne Powers.
Okay.
Is that Terry McGinnis? Is that his name?
Yeah.
I don't know what he's... Yeah, he's got like jetpack boots here.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. Still not a... I don't know. I just didn't fall into that world. There's not really much connection to like the old Batman.
Yeah.
I think Batman's dead in here somehow.
Yeah.
And they don't really go into that. They just kind of just mention in a blurb in a panel.
Right.
And I think Barbara Gordon is the commissioner, and she's about to retire. So I know that gives you any senses of the timeline of when this is happening.
Right. Okay. Yeah, just because I don't really have a lot of experience with Batman Beyond either. That's why I've really quite enjoyed that. Like the one we talked about last week with the Beyond the White Knight. Like he's doing...
Oh, yeah. Compared like these two issues are night and day.
Yeah, for sure. I figured.
Like, unless they kind of start dropping in some, kind of some rethought Batman characters or people from his rogue gallery or something, that might pull me back in. But as of now, I might just let this one ride. I got enough Batman going on right now.
What'd you give it?
I'll give it a 3.5.
Okay.
Still a decent story, just not for me.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. Next up, we got Firepower, The Return of Firepower. Okay, so yeah, this is issue 19. This Return of Firepower after a brief hiatus at the end of the last arc. It may have ended in December or January, and so they needed a few months for the artist Chris Somney to catch up. And boy, did he ever, man! This was he really brought it in this issue. Like his art's always really good. He's a great artist. This written by Robert Kirkman, of course, Walking Dead fame. But this issue in particular, it was like, I guess he knew the way they ended the last story arc with a dragon, appearance of a dragon. He needed to really, really step it up even for him in this issue. And he delivered, man. The art was fantastic in this issue. So, this issue was action packed. It featured the dragon, the prophecies are true, I guess, is what we learned at the end of the last story arc, because they weren't really sure if the dragons were real or not, like if there was actual like a mythic dragon, or I guess that actually existed. We're introduced to a new character, this dude here, who we don't really know too much about at this point. But yeah, this is a fun kung fu epic story with great art and a family dynamic to it, and I always really have a lot of fun time reading this. The issues do read quick usually. But it's just like, I always kind of walk away. I really enjoying my time after reading this comic. Like it's always like fast paced and great art and and action and funny moments and interesting characters and like I type of genre, like like kung fu type stuff that I really dig, that kind of stuff. So, and like I said, the family dynamic part about it, how now this guy he has his kids with him, he has to try to protect them, but now his kids have also learned how to shoot fireballs and stuff like that. Like that's kind of what's a little bit different about this story now, than kind of sets it apart from other things. So yeah, check it out, guys. Firepower. This series actually he started it in an interesting way, Robert Kirkman, where he made it $9.99 for the first trade paperback was the start of the series. So, and then after the trade paperback, he started doing it in issues. So that first storyline, setting everything up about this the main character in this, was in that trade paperback. But for $10, you get an oversized, like 144 page, like paperback of that whole introduction to this world in this series. So it's a really great introductory price and jumping on point. So if you guys are interested in Firepower, you should check that out, because it was really, really great. Yeah. So I gave this a 4.5. I thought it was a great return to the series, and I look forward to the next one. Okay, next up we got Batman Killing Time #2. This is also a very, really good issue. It continues the story of the bank heist that Catwoman, Riddler, Killer Croc, and Penguin pulled off at the start of the last issue. They actually pulled a fast one on Batman. They tricked him and were able to pull off a robbery. It's for an ancient artifact, or we're not really sure of what it is as of yet. And they keep doing like flashbacks, like at the start of this issue, to like this time, like BC times, like there's some sort of artifact that they kind of might be evil or powerful, or that they've gotten a hold of, that they stole from this bank vault, or the safety deposit box, but we still don't know what it is. So, but the way that Tom King is telling this story, like the structure of it is really impressive. Like he keeps, hence the Killing Time title, he keeps like doing these he keeps bouncing back and forth within time. Like he'll tell you the time, he'll tell you when something happened. He might show you something that happened 5 minutes from now, and then he'll backtrack and show you what happened before 5 minutes from now. So like the way he's just kind of playing with story and the structure, as he does it in quite a bit of his comics, is always impressive. It's always really well written. And there was a really great scene with great Joker dialogue in this that I do want to mention. So he's talking to Bruce Wayne. This is a flashback of him, like with the Batman hanging upside down, and I just want to read this part to you because it was really funny. He says, "So I am told by a scientist who is dead because I stabbed him like so many times and shot him not so many times, but quite a few times, and poisoned him just like 3 times. So that this is the most potent truth serum ever conceived by a dead scientist who was shot, stabbed, and poisoned." And yes, kicked a lot in the face, but he was probably dead by then, so it doesn't matter anyway. Just like his whole like insane rambling. I just thought he wrote a really, really good Joker in this scene. And yeah, I just really, really enjoyed this issue. I thought the art is killer, and they're telling a really great story so far. So basically the Riddler and Catwoman now are waiting for somebody to pick up what they stole in this issue. And a buyer, it hasn't been revealed, but he knocks on the door at the end, so we don't really know who this buyer is that's going to be buying this item that we still don't know. So there's a big mystery kind of being told as well, like it's unfolding throughout the course of this issue. So I gave it a 4.5 as well. I thought it was better than the first issue even. So this 6-issue miniseries, when it's all said and done, I think it's going to be pretty great. So check it out. All right, next up, Strange #2.
Killer cover.
Yeah. So what'd you think, Chris?
Let's see. Well, I felt good about this issue. Thought it was a great cover, like I said. Just too bad the Harvest Man here doesn't sort of look like he does on the cover there. Looks like he's got like a paper mask in there. But I think they did Wong right in this issue. He looks better.
Does there's better Wong faces in this one, because I know that our issue with the first one was that there was some wonky faces for some of the characters. I think they did a better job in this one for sure.
Yeah, so I thought the art was good inside. And it just looks like the responsibility of being the Sorcerer Supreme might be weighing down on Clea a little bit, and she's about to unleash some warlord power. some great battles in there with. I don't know who they were fighting though.
That's Thunderstrike. So he's like he was from like the Thor comics in the 90s. I don't really know too much about him either, but he's, I guess, another Asgardian, and he's,
Man, brutal how she beat them though.
yeah, he's dead. So yeah, so basically the thing in this is this Harvest Man shows up, and I guess he's like a sorcerer supreme of sorts for the dead. Like he's kind of like a guardian of the dead of sorts, I guess. So he, for whatever, some sort of dead spirit took control of his
Thunderstrike.
body. Yeah, Thunderstrike's body in this, and that's, she's battling it out. But I gotta tell you, like, at least for me, I felt this was a little bit of a disappointing follow-up issue to the first one. I thought the first issue was a lot better. I just felt they spent too much time on this fight in this.
Yeah.
By the end, they had so many more interesting things going on that they had to cram into like the last few pages between Wong, and like he pulls out like a list of like things that she's
Yeah.
for doing now, and I'm like, oh, that's it seems like there's all these interesting things for her to do now as a Sorcerer Supreme. And then like somebody shows up at the end, and like the bazaar that they introduced in the first issue got attacked. So, but it seems like she's getting disrespected left and right. Like no one, like she's like, I'm the guardian of this place now. Do people not understand? And she's pissed. Like this, like you said, she's a very much more hardcore, like pissed off Doctor Strange than Doctor Strange was, right? So it's the demon side is coming out in her, you can tell, right? So it's interesting. It is different. It's a different Doctor Strange story being told, but I just felt they spent too much time on this and not enough time on everything else that was going on by the end of the issue. And I was just like, I'm sure this is going to lead somewhere, but for me, I was like, the first half, I was like, whatever, right? But
yeah, it looks like they just want to fit in some action.
Yeah,
because like that story with that Thunder, it didn't really go anywhere. They kill him. Like I don't even remember why he showed up in the first place.
It's really more so about the repercussions from the fight, and I guess that what that guy said to her, because as soon as she found out he had something to do with the dead, she's like, well, bring Steven back. And he's like, no, fuck that. Like he's like,
yeah, like I think they kind of just had this fight so they could have her and that Harvest Man talk, without just standing there and talking to each other,
Yeah, which is, a good way of doing it. But then at the end, like to your point, they kind of were just like, they just ended it, and then it was like later on, and then she's telling the story to Wong at the mansion. I'm like, what are you in the Sanctum Sanctorum? I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell? Like you spent all that time on this fight and you don't even complete the whole scene, and then it cuts to a scene of you telling the story.
Yeah, and I killed them. It's like, what do you mean? Why you couldn't show that in like it seemed to be like an epic battle up until that point.
Yeah, yeah. She called him Death's Sheriff in this issue. That's what essentially that's to let you know of, like, I guess his job, his role in this realm or whatever. I don't know. So yeah, so I still enjoyed it. I just don't think it was as strong as the first issue for me. But the first issue was oversized. They established a lot, and like you said, they kind of had to inject some action into the story here. So I'm not mad at it. I just, it wasn't. I gave it a 3.5 for this one personally.
Well, I'm just gonna stick with my 4s. Well, I didn't give Batman Beyond a 4, but I'll give this one a 4. I liked it.
Nice. All right. Next up, we got Fantastic Four 42, continuation of the Reckoning War. How about this, Chris?
Well, there's a couple of holy smokes moments in this one here. And with Ben and Reed fighting, that had me hook, line, and sinker there. And the way the Wrath of the Reckoning honored She-Hulk and Jack of Hearts with an honorable or with his favorite form of execution, I thought was pretty brutal. And one of the things I didn't like is having these New York City battles. Like that city should be freaking trashed by now. Like every episode, somebody's attacking New York, and but everything else was great, and it's a nice lead up to the next issue. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, my favorite part of the issue was, like you pointed out, the parts between Reed and the thing. Those were excellent. I thought that whole conversation that those two characters share in that moment was really interesting, because it kind of went somewhere you didn't think it was going to. And those, they have such a history together, those two characters, and the whole thing about the fact that, Reed is already saying like we only have this much time to live. They have to make crazy decisions for one another at this point in
Yeah,
time.
that was a good line there too. He goes, "Yeah, I hate you, Reed. Well, I'll hate you till you die." He goes, "Good. You'll only hate me for the next 42 hours."
Right?
But I
Exactly.
think it was pretty brutal what Reed did to
Yeah.
Ben to get him all upset like that.
But Reed's kind of cold like that to begin with, and now Reed's smarter and more knowledgeable than he's ever been as a result of being able to see everything with the Watcher powers, right? So like
Yeah.
it's not it let's just say it's very Reed what he does. Like it tracks. Like I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like he's kind of a dick, Reed Richards. Like, you know what I mean? He is a lot of the time he'll sacrifice like you know what people think of him as a person, like for the what he thinks is right, you know what I mean? Like he doesn't like in the name of science and shit like that, right? Like I don't
Yeah.
know, like so it's you know, that whole relationship and the things like the most loyal best friend you can ask for is always been like kind of rocky, excuse the pun, at times. It really has, right? And like, you know, I mean, that the way we left it the last issue where the thing was literally falling apart, like that was, you know, so you know what, I gotta say, I thought this was a very by the numbers type issue though, in terms of the story beats for the event itself. Like even the heroes kind of like swooping in and like how that whole side of things is playing out. But just talking about some of those moments right now that I did really enjoy did make me kind of consider that to kind of go up in my rating a little bit, because I was probably going to rate this one low just because I've been very hot and cold about this event so far. Like one issue, I'm like, this is outstanding. And then the next issue, I'm like, it was okay. But overall, it's been enjoyable, I think, so far, The Reckoning War. It's just like, you know, it felt just very like, okay, yeah, I expected that to happen. And but then you get those character moments between people like Reed and the Thing. Excellent
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Yeah, like they can do without all this sort of like the epic battles there, like the ones in the city and then the ones where, where Johnny Storm comes in. I don't even know where they're fighting on, like some Kree world or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. You
Yeah.
could leave those pages or that part of the story, I guess.
Yeah. So what'd you give this one then?
I'm gonna stick with a 4.
Nice. Good week, man. Good week. Honestly, like
Good week. Yeah, there's nothing super spectacular, but these issues aren't falling flat though either.
no, small but decent week. Yeah, I'm also gonna give it a 3.5 again. But I actually, from talking about it, I originally was maybe thinking about giving this a 3, but I'm gonna give it a 3.5. Those moments saved it for me. Just otherwise, because that's kind of what I look for, even in events, right? Otherwise, I've read a ton of events. Like I don't need the same kind of, you know. And then the hero showed up to save the day type stuff, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, all right, Chris. Scorch.
Okay, we got Scorch next. Well, this is moving back into Spawn territory where I have no idea of what's going on again. It's more this issue here was just a lot of babbling about a coming war where angels will fight angels and devils will fight devils and Spawn will fight Spawn. So supposedly, I don't know if there's somebody from the future or somebody in this issue basically put it out there that one of the Spawns are going to turn on the Scorched group. So there's 5 of them there, and that's sort of the big hoopla in this issue. And they just spend the whole issue kind of getting to that. I think there's a fight between regular Spawn and Gunslinger Spawn.
Okay.
And I'm like I say, I wish I kind of knew who the characters were. Because there's a character, one of their enemies has kind of come to them, and he's saying that he can get all the other Spawns back to their original times, which all the other Spawns are, of course, keen to listen to. And regular Spawn, he just wants to. This guy's lying all the time. He wants to beat him up. But we'll see where it goes. I'll follow the Scorched. I seem to have dropped the other ones.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. I think last time you talked about Scorch, you said this is probably the only one you're going to continue with is the Scorched issues, right? Like,
yeah,
Spawn universe stuff.
Well, if these light weeks kind of start piling up again, and they got some of the issues kind of lying on the stands, I might pick them up. But
yeah,
generally only if they have a great cover. And I'll give this one a 3.5.
Okay.
Nothing too great going in here. Even the art inside was not up to par or the usual standards.
Different artist, I guess, then, or just like
I don't know. No, I think it was still the same artist there, but they just didn't put the effort into that one or something. Like some of the pages were really good, And then, some of the off scenes, they just kind of phoned in those, where, like, I guess more of the dialogue was important.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
just kind of phoned in the art on some of those ones.
yeah. Okay.
Okay. And here we got She-Hulk #3. Let's see. And absolutely nothing happens in this comic here.
Are you
But I
serious?
liked it.
It,
I don't know why I liked it.
that just seems to be this comic, though. To be honest with you, man, like it seems
Yeah, it's decent. Like, they
spending
like
time.
she just has a lousy day at work, and then there's a couple good jokes in here that she makes. Like, she's trying to drum up some business.
Yeah.
I think Ben Grimm calls in, and then Pietro calls in, and I don't know if they don't really reference to Quicksilver,
Oh, okay. Yeah. All
but
right.
it's just like a line where she's holding her phone and he gets a speeding ticket or something. So she might have to defend him for that. And then the rest of the issue is just kind of going over Jack of Hearts,
Yes.
I don't know, history or what's happened to him while he eats some pizza, and that's it. But I still was in there. Yeah, and that's it. And that's all that happened here. But I liked it. And, I like the art in here. It's nothing super spectacular. She-Hulk isn't. She's not angry in this issue, so she's not really like freaking hulked out or anything. She's just kind of doing what she does
Yeah.
during a normal day. And I'll give it a 3.5, not because it's bad, but just because it's good.
Yeah, that seems to be the case of that series, though. Like, it seems like it's like it should just be called spending time with She-Hulk, because you kind of
and I'm down for that.
Yeah, that's not bad. It's nice because it is a different tone, and like from everything else, like you're reading, right? In that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And it makes me like her more in the Reckoning War. Like it kind of just gets you more behind the character, let's say.
Right. So I mean, I read the first 2 issues as well with Chris, but I ended up ordering the trade, so I probably won't keep up with it in issues anymore. But I liked it enough that I ordered the trade, so I'm happy to hear it's good still. So, all right, yeah, Little Monsters. This is #2, and new Jeff Lemire's new series with Dustin Nguyen, the artist, who they've worked on a lot of books together. Descender, Ascender with Image Comics, and also the Batman and Robin miniseries that we talked about. Probably the last thing, actually, me and Chris read of theirs that they did for DC. That was really good. I don't know about this series though, man. Like, the first one left me a little bit like I needed a little bit more. I thought it was a very slow opening, and it kind of left me kind of wondering about what this book was exactly. We get a little bit in this issue that's kind of like, it's a little bit more clearer, I guess. The story's developing a little bit more, but I gotta say, like, the narrative has been a little bit hard for me to follow so far. Like, and there was and it's very slow, and so I'm not completely sold as of yet. If I didn't have as much trust in the creators and have been fans of these two for a while now, I probably would drop it, to be honest with you, or maybe even pick it up in trade. But I'm gonna continue along with it. At the start of the issue, you kind of get a flashback of probably like this vampire made this kid a vampire because he ended up killing his father, and he caught him in the act. And this is, I guess, in this like maybe fallout of like a post-apocalyptic scenario in the future, anyways. And then and then it kind of started doing the same thing that they did in the first issue, where they kind of started flipping back and forth between the perspectives of different kids that we've been introduced to so far, which is like hence the name of the Little Monsters, the book. There's like a group of kids that they introduced to us in the first issue that are living in this world, and they could possibly be vampires. You don't really see one of them show their fangs till this issue, and this guy gets injured. But it's this panel right here. They did a really bad job, I felt like, the artist, which I'm surprised about. I don't know if it's the fact because they're choosing to do it all in black and white with very little color, or the art styles change, but it was very unclear what happened to this guy. All of a sudden he's talking to him, and then he's like, "Arr!" And then it seems like this thing fell, like it fell apart and fell on him, and then he got trapped underneath it. But I flipped the page and I didn't really know like what happened to him, if he got hurt, if he got bit by something. And then the next thing you know, another kid rolls up on him and he like shows his fangs, and it looks like he's gonna feed on him. And he runs back to all the kids at the end, and he says, hey, they lied to us, or they didn't tell us about this, or I seemed like it was the first time he actually like did his thing as a vampire. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. And then there was a girl that gets introduced at the end of the issue. That's a new character that comes across their group. And the dude that got stuck underneath all that rubble, he said there was a group of them nearby, like he was with a camp of other people. So it looks like there's some survivors that they've never come across. Think like The Walking Dead or something, when you're coming across groups and stuff, like in the, you know what I mean? So I don't know. It's coming along, but it's not giving me too much to kind of go off of so far. And like I said, if you weren't a fan of these people and you're reading this in issues, and you don't really like, I could see dropping this. So it's been okay. I give it a 3 this issue. It wasn't bad. The art's great. I really enjoy the art. It's just the story needs to kind of pick up the pace, for me. Like I said, there were some cool moments, but like I'm just not very clear as to what's going on. And it seems like such a simple concept where they're not really revealing everything for me to kind of be like, yeah, okay, I'm on board. I'm like, well, just tell us a little bit more here. Like we're 2 issues in, like I just need a little bit more to kind of sell me on this. So anyways, so I gave this one a 3. And then lastly, there's Red Room Trigger Warnings number 2. This is probably the best issue to date, I felt, and that's including the first mini series of Red Room that was just simply called Red Room. So he said he was doing 3 chapters in this world, Ed Piskor, and the artist and writer of this book. The other half of the cartoonist kayfabe, the guys that did Jim Rugg that did Hulk Grand Design last week that I talked about. Chris, did you actually end up reading that? Did you read Hulk Grand?
No, not all the way through yet.
Okay. But yeah, he the first one was just Red Room, which ran 4 issues, and now this is the second of 3 miniseries I guess he's doing. This is Trigger Warnings. This was my favorite one so far, though. I thought this was a great story. It's about a young couple that they basically become killers, and they both share like this interest, I guess, in killing people on film. They basically start making snuff films, but it's about young love and like how these people found each other and this kind of thing. But at the start of the issue, you find these cops, and they call themselves the Pumpkins. Pumpkins, and you find these 2 that I guess were killing people on film, and selling them like these Red Room kind of places on the dark web and making lots of money. And you find these cops find these 2 people hanging at the start of the issue, and then the cop finds a phone that basically like wrote his like kind of his goodbye kind of explanation as to why they got to this particular, why they're finding them hanging here. And as you go through the story, you actually get the cell phone on each page, and you could read what was found on the explanation by them on the cell phone as that story in the corner. And you could also follow the story as it played out between the characters previous to the scene at the start. So you actually are reading 2 different stories on each page as you go throughout the issue. So again, I like the way that he played with the storytelling techniques in this issue, and I thought it actually was very successful, more successful than the last issue where he was telling 3 separate stories per page, and that was a little bit too much to kind of take in, and not everyone was as good as the other. But this one, because you're watching the story develop and you're hearing about the outcome of it after the fact and where it kind of eventually led, I thought it was really interesting to see that play out. And then not everything is as it seems. By the end of the issue, it's a big surprise twist ending, which I thought was really done quite well. So yeah, I give it a 4. I thought it was solid. Again, it's a pretty dark book, though. It's not for the faint of heart. If anything like this, like there's a super gory violence in each issue. There isn't very much color, if that helps at all in that sense. But if this is something that you're not into, or you're kind of like, you don't like horror films, you don't like gory stuff, I wouldn't check this book out. It's definitely tells, every issue is a nice one and done story, though. That's kind of weaving itself together in like a world that he's kind of fleshing out within this series. So I give it a 4. All right. Well, that's going to do it for our issues here today that came out on the week of April 6, 2022. A small week, but decent week, as you guys could tell there. And we're actually going to be bringing back one of our segments that we haven't done in a while here because we figured we would have a little bit of extra time. And Chris, why don't you hit us with a book that you pulled out from the vault here for us today? Something you want to show off here.
All right, straight from 1991. We have Marvel Illustrated, premiere issue. This is kind of set up like a Sports Illustrated here. Let's see. It's a little beat up, so we don't have to worry about ruining it or anything.
Yeah.
But let's kind of go through here. There's a couple articles about things. They have the Super Olympics, which is kind of interesting because they kind of rank. You know, they have in weightlifting, they have it ranked as Thor is number 1, Hercules 2, Hulk tied for 2nd, Wonder Man 3rd, Thing 4th, Namor 4th, She-Hulk 5th, Colossus, Sasquatch, Power Man run down the list. There's a whole bunch of different sports here they talk about.
I like that. I like when they do lists like that and they actually think up that kind of stuff. It's just like, it reminds me of the trading cards back in the day when they would have power rankings for people.
Yeah.
Like that. Like that.
Kind of, put people up against each other, you know, with agility. Because they had other ones there, like that ice dancing or something like that, where like Dazzler was winning, or Cloak from Cloak and Dagger with figure skating. That's what it was.
Right.
Dagger 1, Dazzler, Shadowcat, and Silver Sable 4th. They're able to fit everybody in there.
Yeah.
But the gist of this comic was the boys and girls of summer.
Yeah.
And they've got a nice storm layout flying in the sky with Lockheed. One of the iconic Psylocke's little James Bond tribute.
Yeah, by Jim Lee. That's I think that's a Jim Lee pinup. I'm pretty certain that's his like.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it too.
That's a classic pinup. I've seen that before.
Yeah, Howard the Duck there with a friend.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Of course, we have little MJ Watson Parker.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. They were married at this point in time in the comics.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
And even the ads in this thing here were all kind of like, there's no ads. Like the ads were put in. You know, I have like Mr. Fantastic trying to sell a watch.
That's funny.
And then we got where is it? I can't see here.
Yeah, you got it. Centered.
Got some tough guys in their briefs.
Oh, look at that cap. Hey now, is that Boom?
Nope. Yeah, I got Boom Boom here by Liefeld.
Hey now.
Cap. I gotta figure this thing out. Where's the hell this?
There you go. You got it. You got it. Yeah.
Captain America there with that's Diamondback down there.
Look at that package.
Looking up adorably.
Look at that package Cap is rocking there. That's America's ass right there. That's
Stars and Stripes. I got Prince Namor down there.
Yeah.
A little bit of She-Hulk. Yeah. She-Hulk and Wasp. All right, we got. I guess they couldn't get Cable in a bikini thong or something like that, but they got some people there.
Should have had a bikini a thong made out of pouches that he was rocking.
That's it. We got double page spread there with some of the ex-women.
Nice. Yeah.
All lined up there enjoying things. Let's see, we got Thor there. They got a Loki there with a wrong face, sorry.
Yeah, he's I just like that he's lurking.
Yeah, he's lurking there. Checking out those buns of steel. A nice little spread there with what's that? I think that's White Queen, Black Cat.
Cat, yeah.
Enchantress. And then a few of the Serpent Society.
Enchantress, yeah, that's who it is. Yeah. And then lurking Loki, man. That's awesome.
Wonder Man there with the big
big
snake. I don't know, the purple snake. I don't know what they're trying to do there.
Yeah.
We got some Tigra.
Yeah.
I don't know. Fantastic Four there, the family enjoying a day at the beach.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's wholesome.
And just a bunch of stuff like, here we go. We got the West Coast versus East Coast Avengers and a little tug of war.
Yeah.
I like
Nice.
how the Captain Americas are still just wearing the masks. Reminds of the luchadors when they go to weddings and they're still they just have their arms, the sleeves cut off, and the masks on still.
That's right. That's awesome.
That's pretty much it. There's some other things like here at the end. There we have Thor trying to sell some razors. There you can see him with his beard. Oh, how great it is with the flick razor.
Yeah.
Well, it was a fun issue back at the time. $5
I mean,
back in the day.
the fact that it exists, man, it's pretty cool. Like that 90s were all about like gimmicks, like this kind of shit. But at the same time, like that's something I definitely don't think they would do today. But like at the it's cool though. It's a fun idea. I mean, I've taken a flip through that swimsuit special before too, and there's some good art in it, right? Like I mean,
Well, pretty much like around the height of the comic days. You know, I think this might have been before McFarlane maybe really jumped in the scene. Like I'm surprised he doesn't have sort of some panel or some drawing in there, or maybe he left the scene by then. I don't know.
It's very What when was this?
91.
No, he was still there, I think, at that time. Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Spawn was until like what, 92, 93.
Yeah, so it might have been just before he popped then, I think.
Yeah. 93, I think. 93 or 94. Like it's weird because like there was such a weird schedule and rollout of those image creators. There were so many things that were behind that it's hard to kind of pinpoint. It seems like, you know what I mean? Like when those things came out, but then it, but then you get to the mid 90s, like peak 90s, right? I think peak 90s, me, like a representation of it and its gimmicks was like Death of Superman. You know what I mean? Because I was reading like off the rack at that point in time, right? So like but yeah, that's cool, man. I have seen that issue before. I have looked through it before. It is a pretty
cool. You do get your hands on it. It's a fun issue to read, like just because it's all sort of done as if everything's real. You know, like they have articles like from Tony Stark or something, and I think they have like weightlifting advice from She-Hulk. Like, how does she know? Fuck, she's gamma powered. Not like she's there working out. Just get strong.
One of the funniest things ever, and maybe I'll have to dig it out of the boxes one of these days and show it off here from a Future in the Vault. Maybe you have to remind me. I don't know if you have these issues, but is that they had Punisher Armory, which was an issue.
I think I have those. Yeah.
It's a series where it's literally them, a writer writing out descriptions of a bunch of guns and weapons. it's like ammo, guns and ammo, like magazines. It's ridiculous.
Back in the day, you put Punisher on anything and it fucking went through the roof.
Yeah, absolutely. No, but I mean, like, it was a full-priced issue of literally just pages and pages of them drawing weapons and little text boxes where it's like, oh, this is the Mac 10.
Yeah.
It's just insane that they were selling that, though. Like,
and like even there's the Marvel Guide to the Universe or something where basically just go from A to Z.
Yeah.
Through all the heroes and villains and, just have little blurbs about them. I fucking bought all those too back in the day.
They had those, and DC had the Who's Who, which is the same thing.
Yeah,
those were, you know what, though, those are fun because like back in the day when you don't really know all the characters, that's why I love Marvel Team Up back in the day so much because featured my favorite superhero, which is Spider-Man, teaming up with somebody new. And then like he always used to team up with like some C and D list type that you would never see in their own title. So the fact that they would show up in Marvel Team Up with Spider-Man, I like, oh, who's this? Like that was my introduction to a lot of characters, Marvel Team Up for that in that sense, right? Like all kinds of people. There's an issue with like Frankenstein, and there's like one is like Howard the Duck, and like there's one like with Captain Britain. I think his first American appearance was in Marvel Team Up, if I'm not mistaken. And so like, that's chock full of like interesting characters that used to show up in those in that series, right? Kazar, whomever, right? So it's just guys that just didn't have their own titles, or if they did, it would only sell because it was that point in time. Everyone,
where they need some juice there, it's throw them in Marvel Team Up. Let's get the word out there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then he had Marvel 2-in-1 with the Thing, right? Which I never really got into that one because even though I liked the Thing, but just I always felt it was the lesser of the two. But anyways, all right, guys. Well, that's from the vault. Thank you, Chris, for showing that off here today. Look forward to other from the vault segments in the future from us. Whenever we find something interesting we want to show off. And Chris, what are you picking up next week?
Let's see. Next week, it's another light week. A lot of these I'm just picking up for the covers. I've taken up Elektra 100. I know we were talking about earlier there might be something big going on, but I think that's an Elektra Red, White, and Blood or something, number 4, not this one.
Okay.
I still don't know where Electra 100 comes from. Like, where was 99? Like, she's not part of any series. They
Yeah.
just throw it in issue, Electra 100.
Yeah.
Fucking, I'm a sucker. I'm buying it. But,
Yeah.
anyways, I'll buy it. I'm going to get Star Wars Darth Vader number 22. That's basically just because I think it has a pretty sweet cover there with Vader doing what he does.
Mm.
Getting Venom 7, X-Men 10, Batman and Catwoman number 11. I'm picking that up pretty much just for the cover.
Mm.
Wonder Woman 786. I think it's part of that trial of the Amazons. And
Yeah.
if it didn't make it into my pull list, I don't think I'd be too upset. And maybe I might get Red Sonja 1 if it gets pulled. I forget when I put it in there, but it seems to be pulling Dynamite Comics isn't as easy as getting the Marvel or DC, or maybe I'm not putting enough time in there.
Yeah, because like stores don't usually order heavy on those, right? But
Yeah.
I mean, like especially when a new number 1 comes out, they always have like a shitload of covers for those Dynamite comics. Like there's a lot. So yeah, by good artists too. So yeah, I got another small week for me as well. As Chris mentioned there, I only got 5 physical comics, so I'll be picking up a couple things online to read digitally, probably just so we can beef it up a little bit. I'm also reading Batman Catwoman 11, Farmhand 16, which is the return of an Image series I quite enjoy by Rob Guillory, who's the artist and writer. Flashpoint Beyond 0, I'm picking that up.
Are you getting that?
Yeah, see what that's about. I've read the original Flashpoint, and if it involves Bruce Wayne's father, like from that period in time, if he's part of it, I'm interested a little bit in that. We'll see. I don't know. I haven't committed to like the whole pre-ordering the whole series as of yet, but depending on how this issue is, I might read it or read it online. We'll see.
Yeah.
Suicide Squad Blaze number 2 comes out. Now I gave the first one my favorite book of the week, so I'm really looking forward to that one. That was an unexpected treat. X-Men 10. And then, as Chris mentioned, I'm also going to be reading Electra 100. I'm going to be checking out Image 30th Anniversary Anthology number 1, which is 1 of 12. I'm reading that online. Anthologies are not always huge on just because you get such a mixed bag of stories, but I might check.
Those just reprints of old stories, or are they new stories?
New stories. They're new stories of like there's some stories that are going to be from like series that are ongoing, but they're just telling stories in the anthology, like that are popular for Image, and then there's other ones that they're launching new series out of like these stories in the anthology. So I guess they're doing.
If I see that around, I might pick that up too.
Yeah, it's the 30th anniversary, so they're going to be doing this for the next year, I guess. It's a 12-issue series to celebrate this year of 38 years of Image. So, but I'm sure there's going to be a lot of great talent in that, right? So, and I might if I have time, catch up and read Venom 7 with Chris, because I am interested in what's going on again, I think, now in Venom. I might just check out the issue itself and maybe backtrack if I enjoy it, but I don't want to be... Well, you can always explain it to me if I'm completely lost. So I might check out Venom too, just because, like I said, it's a light week and I am kind of interested in what's going on in that. So I might check that out. So so there you go. So that's what we're picking up next week, guys, what we're going to check out. If there's something that you guys are reading that we're not aware of, you want to hit us up in the comments, continue the conversation of the books we talked about today, let us know. All right, and finally, our favorite book of the week, the part of the show where Chris never seems to be prepared for. He's like, "Oh, I forgot about that." But it's good because I actually don't pre-plan this at all either. Like, this is the one part of the show where sometimes, based on the discussions that we have when we have these books, there's something that rises to the top that I wasn't even aware of, right? So, and that's kind of the case today. I wasn't really sure what would make it as my favorite book of the week this time around, but I'm going to go with Firepower 19. I think it was just the right amount of fun, action-packed storytelling and great art that I read this week. I kind of had it all for me. My only complaint was that I read too fast because I just devoured this, and I love that this series is back, and it's a hell of a lot of fun. So I'm going to give it to Firepower. It was a good week, but nothing like, outstanding where I'm giving out 5s or something like that this week around. But that, amongst everything else that we talked about, I thought that was a really, really great issue. So
I'm going to give mine to She-Hulk, number 3, because it's the only comic I looked through here that didn't piss me off in one way or another. So if I go through my stack here, I didn't like Fantastic Four because they tried to swerve. I didn't like the ending of Devil's Reign. Shadow War Batman. Yeah, it was a freaking half issue. Didn't like that. What's her name? Black Widow got her arm back. Batman Beyond I just didn't like so much. Strange 2 was in the running, and Scorch 3 was just a bunch of babbling about some war that's coming. That's why I picked
Nice.
She-Hulk 3.
There you go. Sometimes it's about the one you enjoyed reading the most, guys, and therefore I love that explanation, Chris. Therefore, Chris's pick is She-Hulk number 3. So there you have it, guys. Firepower and She-Hulk. Check them out, and we'll see you guys back here next week. As always, like I mentioned, Friday or Saturday, these shows drop weekly. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified of when they come out. Subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, all that good stuff, and we'll see you guys next week. Later.